that's exactly the type of improvement we needed to make to the process. So the process could essentially digest the minerals for us. So it can make the particle size small enough to get into your bloodstream. And this is key, without digestion. And when that happens, magic really happens. And that's how you go from 3 hours or 2 hours to 3 hours in deep sleep. And, life just sort of, just the doors open. You're like, ah.
Welcome, everybody. Great to see you all here for the RWS Clinicians Corner. So today I am super excited for our guest. We have Barton Scott, who is a biochemist, founder, nutritionist, and researcher. And for the last 7 years, Barton has been the founder and process developer behind Upgraded Formulas, which is an innovative supplement company that I am super excited to introduce you all to. So Barton is passionate about helping people address the daily stress of life, sleep struggles, hormone issues, fatigue, and the nutrient absorption issue that we and our clients all face. So welcome to Restorative Wellness Clinicians Corner, Barton.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thank you. Thank you, Margaret.
So I want to share my story of meeting you and my first experience of working with your products, because I meet a lot of people. I meet a lot of people with supplements, cool supplements, and sometimes the reality doesn't match up to the hype. And so I will confess, we're part of a practitioners group together. And when we met and you shared about your products, when we first met, it was like a very, very brief conversation. And you were like, oh, here, really bioavailable form of magnesium. And I was like, oh, okay, magnesium, great. And I will admit, I was like, okay, sounds great. But I was honestly prepared to be underwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And then you hooked me up with some samples, and I was already taking magnesium, and I've been taking magnesium for a long time. I'm a high stress person. I'm sort of the classic personality type of someone who runs hot and definitely needs support in kind of chilling out. And I wear my Oura ring, and I track my sleep, and I track all the biomarkers, and all the biomarkers were saying I was doing great. So, and for those of you who use an Oura ring, my deep sleep, I was already feeling really proud of myself, because I would consistently get around 2 hours, maybe a little more than 2 hours a night. And I was like, I don't know how much further we can go here, but sure, I'll try it. Mm-hmm. So I tried I tried several things, but the key one, and I started specifically with just this one because I wanted to see the experience of that alone. And so I just switched from what I was taking to the upgraded formulas, upgraded magnesium. And within a few nights, my deep sleep started reaching 3 hours a night. And I was just like, wait, what? And I am also as I said, I'm a pretty high strung person. And I was noticing that I was actually, I was in this very high intensity time of my life. And I was noticing that I was actually able to chill. I was, it was actually remarkable. And so I was like, okay, I am definitely impressed. I want to learn more. So that's been my experience so far. And I've tried other products as well. And I want, Barton, what I'd actually love to start with is your story, because I realize it's actually not listed in your bio here. But as I understand it, you're an engineer originally, right? A chemical engineer?
Right.
So
right.
I want to hear the full story of how does a chemical engineer transform into a supplement formulator and come up with this incredible new technology.
Oh, I'd love to share that. So it really started with my mom. We were really close as a family, and I was born to two awesome parents in their 40s, and she started to get sick, and I didn't have an answer that worked, it seemed like. And that became more and more apparent. And it started with medication for her, and then that led to surgery, and that led to more medication. And I just thought about ways to sort of prove to her that there were things that she could address. So I started doing a bunch of functional medicine tests on myself, on her, on my girlfriend at the time, and her dad. And what I found was that some of the tests weren't very actionable. In other words, there weren't like big gaps that could be improved, or the things, once we improved them, they, like it wasn't super noticeable, or the recommendations weren't super noticeable. I've since found many other tests that are very, just that I really love. But I think fate sort of guided me at that point to find not only hair testing in general, which was the test that showed deficiencies for all of us, but just that, yeah, I don't know. It's just like this was the thing at that time that I needed to see, apparently. And also, the other part was just having an incredible consultation with someone that just knew a ton about it, like layers on layers on layers of things. And I was captivated, and I already had a minor in chemistry at that point. So I mean, I dove in pretty quickly and just absorbed all these different things that like so many things started to make sense. And I felt a wave of relief and understanding. I felt sort of taken care of, and like this was the beginning of something. But then pretty quickly thereafter, I found that I was not, and neither was she, all four of us were not absorbing, and clearly we weren't absorbing things because our levels weren't changing from one test to another. So we were taking different mineral supplements, and I had us on really good brands, and then we changed the brands, changed the dose, and none of the symptoms were moving. All the things that needed to happen weren't happening, but I could see that the test was good, and just understood more and more and more. So in the last 12 years, I've read and spoken to any expert on this, and just read everything available, and I'm writing a book this year, and about this and about the changes that I made and had to figure out along the way. So my background, luckily enough, is all about how to take an industrial process and improve it through a lens, specifically in where I went to school around nanotechnology, which was a perfect fit for this, because that's exactly the type of improvement we needed to make to the process. So the process could essentially digest the minerals for us. So it can make the particle size small enough to get into your bloodstream, and this is key, without digestion. And when that happens, magic really happens. And that's how you go from 3 hours or 2 hours to 3 hours in deep sleep. And, life just sort of, just the doors open. You're like, where things get really, really good. We're a lot more open and available to the miracles of life, the magic of life, when we are fully present. And that really only happens when we sleep well, when we manage our blood sugar well, when we have the nutrients needed to make the basis for all of our hormones, like thyroid and adrenal. And that's the case with minerals in all of those cases. And it's just the most foundational area that I could focus on that moved the needle the most. And I'm really proud of what we have now as a company, and the kind of results we're able to give people.
Okay, so you've answered a big question, because I was thinking, like, how did you even think of moving into like nanotechnology? That just seemed so. Yeah. It's not that it's random. It's just so different from we're so obsessive with all the different forms of magnesium, right? Like the glycate, lactate, citrate, like blah, blah, blah. But this just takes that out of the equation altogether, as I understand it, right? Like, so.
Right. That's a great thing. Yeah. This is also really, really key for everyone listening. I know everyone on this call is really educated, really smart, really savvy, knows a ton of things, and has helped people with the tools that you've helped them with. Whenever you eat magnesium from food, right? You eat foods that contain magnesium, for example, and this is true for other minerals. We have about 20 products. We're just talking about one in particular right now, but we have, a solution to everything on the hair test, which is what I felt like we needed. So I created the process, and I put every mineral through it, and really in this case, I chose to bind the end product with chloride. So it's certainly not magnesium chloride as you'd think of it normally. And it's unique to us. So there's a couple steps in the process that allow for particle size to be really small, and then for the end product to be really, really stable. And that makes a tremendous difference. And you no longer need to remember about these different forms, because just like food, when you eat something, whether it's a salad or a steak or anything else that has some level of, whether it's any mineral, but including magnesium as an example, because when we've been taught to take this one crosses the blood-brain barrier and that one does and this one doesn't. That's true for the old formula, the old process, right? The old industrial process that produced a certain end product where you just shoveled that in your body, and it just didn't really work with the body. What I realized was necessary was that you have to put something in your body that didn't rely on the fact, or that it didn't rely on the gut to absorb. So understanding that most of us would unfortunately live and die with some level of gut dysfunction, if not a lot, because there's just so many people we wouldn't reach. There was also so many people that we needed to give quick wins to.
Yeah.
You can give a quick win to, then you have someone that then you can take them through all your other things, like a note test, and just go down this whole chain of other great tests. But you have to give them some sort of win, and for example, sleeping better is a great one.